Oh, hey there, Wonder World. Let's dive into our 100 wonderful ways today. We're going to be talking about the power of a money-making long post. I remember when I met Nicole and like she was talking about posting and all the different kinds of posts that you can do. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm writing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to write a high converting long post. Like, I don't even know what that means, right? And I definitely felt uncomfortable being able to create long posts. I was like, but to say what, right? Like I kind of felt that feeling. Hey Sam, I kind of felt that feeling of like, when you go to a meeting and like people talk about shit the whole time, and you're like, do I need to be here for this? I think this could be an email because I nothing's happening, you know. I don't like to waste my time. I like to get right in, dive right in, and get results. And so the same thing goes for long posts. Like I felt that feeling of like, why write a long post? Like, what is the benefit of writing a long post? Because I just feel like I'm going on and on and on about nothing, you know. I'm the kind of person that really likes short posts. I like to be short, get to the point. I want to know what I want to know, and I want to walk away. Okay. So let's talk about why a long post, what it is about a long post that is so impactful and so helpful, and like where they belong in your content strategy. So, good morning, guys, and hi, guys. I'm so happy to see everybody in the chat. So, as we get started, tell me, what's your favorite kind of post to write? What is your favorite kind of post to create? We won't say write, create, right? There's reels and engagement posts, there's short posts, there's long posts, there's all kinds of different posts. So when you're creating content, what do you really look forward to? And as you guys do that, I'm gonna go ahead and I want to tag everybody and say, hey. So I want to see what you guys love to do while I tag everybody. And I also want you guys to think about, like, as you're thinking about what your favorite post is to write, clarify that this is my favorite post to write. And then I want you to share with me what your favorite post is to read, because it's probably not the same always, you know? Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And so I think it can be a helpful reflection, of like, why we choose what we choose and what we like about that, and maybe potentially why we like that, and what that looks like. So let's see what you guys love to do. Let's see what you guys love to read. And then we'll be able to dive in and talk about specifically what it is about your money making posts that you love, and how you find the correlation between being able to create the money making posts and being able to actually make money, right? Because that's what we're here to do. So let's see who all is here with us. We have Carrion, good morning, and Laura's here. It's so good to see you. And Jenna. Ashley, I love long posts because I'm a yapper and I love making connections and telling stories. Ashley, your eye is showing. My favorite post is to create long copy. Interesting. Good, guys. I love that. I don't read long posts. I like memes and engagement posts. I love to create engagement posts. I don't like reading long posts. It's interesting, right? You're a yapper? Yeah. So, guys, like, we get to bring awareness to what we're attracted to with our own content, and also who we're attracting and how we're connecting. So, something important to consider when we're talking about long posts is the fact that, a long post is an opportunity, just like Ashley is mentioning, to really connect with people. Okay. So we're able to really like dive in and know that, like, you're sharing with people who you actually are. Okay. Like, not just saying like, hey, I'm this kind of coach and I do this thing and I can help you and you should buy my thing. Here it is. Right. Instead of having that, right, you're able to really dive in and you're able to show people what kind of person you are. Hey, Chris, it's so good to see you. Are you back from Mexico yet? Oh, the pictures are incredible. Um, so we want to really think about how we're connecting with our audience in a way that isn't just, this is what I do, buy my thing. This is what I do, buy my thing, right? And so there are some long posts, right, that can be driving traffic to somebody to convert, right? It can be a pitch post where you're overcoming objections, you're sharing the transformational story, getting somebody to come in and buy, right? All of the things. That's definitely a factor. But not all long posts have that same purpose. And so it's kind of understanding when we say long posts, we think like, long post is literally what it sounds like. It's long, right? Like you got to scroll, right? And when I think about a long post, like I think short posts are going to be more like, you don't need to scroll, right? You don't need to hit the button that says see more. It's just short. And if you guys have content that crushes, you'll know we have some special names for all of these different kinds of posts and specific strategies around how they're used and the way we plug them in. But for the purpose of this training, I want to go over how we have long posts and we have short posts, but even within a long post, we have different kinds of posts. And so when we're really creating a true long post and we're using the style of storytelling that, I mean, quite honestly, has just made Nicole millions of dollars, which is content that crushes. When you're looking at that strategy, it's knowing that like those long posts are not intended to be pitching somebody into buying your thing. Those long posts are intended to be an opportunity for you to be able to come in and say, hey, okay, like this is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to connect with people. I'm doing this to share stories. I'm doing this so I look like a real human being. I noticed online there's a tendency, and guys, tell me in the chat, like, do you ever find yourself doing this, and or do you see it happening with other people where people don't act like real humans? Right? They like talk weird and like we say things like when we're typing, we're like keyboard heroes, right? Where we type weird shit. But like if we were actually talking to somebody across the table, if we were, sitting and having a cup of coffee, right, together, would we be saying that same thing in that same way? I'm going to guess probably not, right? So it's important to bring awareness to those concepts and being able to have awareness of why we're doing what we're doing and how that connects with people. But also, like, are we writing like a real person? Are we writing the same way that we talk? Because that's something that, like, I see people miss the mark on this a lot. And that is something that really shows people who you are. Are you the kind of person that's just on social media to market today? Or are you on social media to create an impact, to, really connect with other people, to really be able to help other people? Because when you tell stories from a place of desire of helping others, it just lands different. Okay. It just lands different. It creates a different kind of vibe. And so it's remembering that people really are drawn to your energy. Okay. They're reading your post because you put up an image on there and they're like, oh, like, wow, I love that. Like, I love that image, and they really want to read more about you. They really want to know what story you're going to tell today. I want you guys to think about, you guys are out there, you see Nicole's posts, right? Can you think of a long post that you've read of Nicole's and it drew you in? Can you still remember today what the post was? Can you remember what the story was that she told? I want you guys to share that in the chat because this is something that's actually really impactful when we're thinking about this because, we remember things when they make us feel a certain way. So I want you guys to give yourself a moment to really think about feelings and how and why you feel a certain way when you were reading it. So think of one of those posts. Tell me what post was it? What post did you read of Nicole's? What story was she telling? What feeling did that story create for you? Because that's actually going to be really important to being able to put together all of the pieces. If you want to have money making long posts, you get to give yourself this kind of opportunity to reflect on your experience that you've had when reading other people's posts. Because I know, guys, we all think that one of two things. We all think that what we write is wonderful and entertaining and interesting, and people want to read it, right? And the other side of this is we might also think that like we're not good enough and nobody's reading our stuff and it doesn't really matter, right? And no matter which side of that mindset piece that you're on right now, it doesn't matter. What matters is being able to be honest with yourself about this and to look at how I'm writing posts, what I'm writing about, what kind of feelings I'm getting people to feel in that storytelling. And this comes from an opportunity for you to think about how reading other people's posts has made you feel. So think back to one of Nicole's posts. Think about what she was talking about and how it made you feel. Interesting, Sam. You're like, I can't focus on a long post. It's not the way my brain works. And that's the beauty of having social media and having different methods of posting. Obviously, today we're focusing on the long post and how we use long posts for money making activities online. But it's remembering that we get to take this and we get to recognize how it is that we have these different posts and how we can integrate. And this is content that crushes in a nutshell, right? Is that we aren't just producing one kind of post and we aren't just reading one kind of post. We are really intermingling all these different approaches. And that's what really helps us in the algorithm. That's why content that crushes just hits different. And that's okay, Lorraine. It doesn't have to be necessarily a post of how you found Nicole. I actually don't have a memory of that either. I don't remember how I found her. I know that I came to Content that Crushes, but I don't know how I got here. But I just any kind of post. Have you ever read one of her posts and it just pulled you in, right? And thinking about the kinds of feelings when you're writing a post, how do you want people to be thinking and feeling when they're reading it? Because when people are reading your posts, it's your energy. It's the energy of the picture. It's the energy of the way the words blend together, the feelings that are developed. It's your vibe. It's how that connection piece really comes in and pulls all the pieces together. But this also means when you're writing a long post, you need to be raw, okay? You need to be vulnerable. You need to just be you. And so this is going back to that robot conversation we were having. How many times are you writing a long post and you're writing it from the point of view of what you think you should be saying or how you should be saying it? How many times are you creating curated content instead of creating content that is really real, raw, vulnerable, connective? You really are like peeling back your own layers and putting yourself out there for the world to see. That is one of the big things that I've noticed when I read Nicole's posts. When I read her posts, Laura has it here, right here, right? I don't really read long posts, but I do. I usually skim through, but I do pay attention and I read hers a little bit more. Same, and there's a reason for that. Because she is telling a real fucking story. She's telling something real. She's being honest. She's being vulnerable. She's putting herself out there. She's expressing raw emotion as she does this. How often, as you guys are reflecting on this, how often are you doing this in your content where you're really letting yourself put yourself out there in that kind of way? Remembering that, it's uncomfortable. Let's talk about that for a minute. What does it feel like to, go write a post and tell this real, raw, vulnerable thing that happened to you? It can feel scary to put ourselves out there, to talk about that time, we were bullied in school and when we, had nightmares for years after that, or when we, almost died in childbirth, or where we lost our best friend in, an accident, and, the moment that we get the phone call and the devastation that just ripples through our body. Like, these are real vulnerable moments. And so it's remembering that we're giving ourselves that space and opportunity for connection when we show up as a real human. No robots, okay? So if you were sitting across the table from somebody having a cup of coffee and guys were talking and swapping stories and sharing and inspiring one another, would you be talking to them the same way that you're writing in your content? Because if that's the case, this is where the hole is, okay? We're talking about money making long posts. This is going to be the difference between writing a long post that just is a post that's long with a lot of words and a post that is actually a money making post. If you want to have a money making post, it needs to evoke emotion. It needs to connect on a more deeper level with the reader. It needs to really connect with them. You guys have read books, right? Because here's another thing about long posts. Oh my gosh, sometimes they are boring as fuck, right? You guys have read a book where as you're like reading the book should end, right? And you're like, oh, okay, the book's over. And then you're like, why are there still 150 pages in this book? What is going on? Well, the same thing with a movie, right? You go to a movie and the movie is a 3-hour movie, but it definitely could have been done in like 90 minutes, maybe 102, okay? But not 3 hours. And there's that feeling of like, oh God, are we done yet? Right? And then sometimes we go to a movie and it's really good. I just went to see Wicked on Thanksgiving and it was really, really good. And it was really long. And I had no idea this was a 3-hour movie. Getting Liza to sit in this movie was like almost impossible. And the movie didn't feel like a drug on. I was shocked. I was shocked to look at my clock and be like, oh my God, it's like 7 o'clock. Why are we still here? I definitely was shocked how long it was, but it didn't feel long. You know that feeling of the difference between like, being in the space of like it actually being long but engaging versus long just to be long and it drags on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, so when you're reading a long post that drags on forever, it is boring, right? It is boring. And so it's bringing awareness to that, because the thing that makes it different, the thing that makes it stand out, the thing that makes it interesting is not how long it is. It's honestly, it's not even about how good of a writer you are. What really creates good writing and good copy and good connection, it comes from a place of really telling real stories. It comes from an opportunity to be able to really connect emotionally. And so as you guys are as you guys are here, I'm like trying to scan through the chat, but like I just see bits and pieces of words. So I see like Ashley used the word underwear. So I'm gonna read that comment because it pops out, right? So even when we're writing our long posts, it's remembering for our skimmers, how can you be, putting little things in there that gets them to like not skim and pull in and read the whole thing, right? That's really a helpful concept to bring in. So Lisa says that she will read long posts of about 5 people and she decides within the first 3 sentences. Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of brings about that concept, which I'm actually going to be talking about in a few minutes over in Money Making Unicorns, is what the pieces of our delivery is. It looks like within a long post. It's not just a long post. We don't just come out and throw up in the post. It's like, do you know the parts that you need to have plugged in to be able to set yourself up for success with that? That's what we really want to look at. And so it's bringing awareness to those kinds of things, and how we're bringing in emotion and our true self and sharing our energy, but also how we're doing this in a way that expands and gives the space for somebody to be brought in right in the beginning in those first 3 sentences. How are we getting them to stay and continue to read through the whole thing? So what are the parts of a long post, right? It's like the anatomy of a long post and how we plug all those pieces in. 100%, you would never pop open chat GPT in a coffee shop with a friend. Exactly, right? You would tell them a real story about a real thing. You wouldn't be a robot. I mean, it's, with AI these days, there's definitely an opportunity of like, you could just have a robot face, right? A robot face could talk to you. I mean, I could be a robot right now in the live, right? But there's understanding that like there's going to be a certain limit to no matter what you do. And it's not that AI is a bad thing, but there's got to be a certain level of realism and connection that comes in as well. One where you can't tell where the plot is going. Definitely a thing, Ashley. You're like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen here? This is boring because I'm not even drawn in. I find it healing in a way to share super vulnerably. The connections that are created through these posts feels authentic and empowering. Yeah, Laura, exactly. Because the truth is, when you really share vulnerably, it is kind of cathartic for yourself of like working through your feelings and all of that. But also, you get to help other people at the same time because they're really going to hear you. They're going to hear your transformation, what you've done, what you've created. And that's something that is really important. Being able to be in that space of expansion and creation. So I did see something in here and I want to kind of talk about this. I think it's up further and I don't think it's showing me all of the comments all the way up maybe. But I definitely I know I saw it come through, so I'm gonna address it for just a minute with the fear of not actually being able to read it. But I know Brianna was here and she made a comment about telling real stories and being shadow banned. And, there's a certain level, and this is something that, we actually really go in depth into nonstop notifications with like, helping our clients discover the line of being able to share a transformational story and being able to do it in a way that we're able to represent ourselves. And, we kind of have this feeling, a little chip on our shoulder where we're like, well, fuck this. This is my page. I should be able to talk about what I want. I should be able to do what I want. And it's like, I get that. But also, like, we don't own social media. Like, I'm here talking to you guys and I love connecting with all of you guys. I'm so grateful for having social media where I get to connect with everybody, but I don't own this platform, okay? I don't own this. I'm borrowing this. And you know what? I'm borrowing it for free. Like, imagine that, right? I don't have to pay for this. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, guys, right? Kind of crazy to think that we can go start a business and we can market for free online. Okay. That's not how marketing used to go. You want to have a billboard, and this is pre computers, right? You want to go have a billboard. You're going to be paying for that billboard to have the space where you can sell your thing, where you can share what you have to offer others. social media is free. So we've got to be grateful for what we have. But that also means there's regulations. And I know everybody gets mad about regulations and this and that and the other thing, but we don't own it, right? If you want to be able to speak freely, you got to go create your own platform then, right? You got to go create your own social media platform. But until that happens, we get to do things that align with being able to show up and have people hear us. Because if we're doing things that are getting our posts taken down or getting us shut down in any kind of way, it's remembering that we aren't able then to impact anybody because nobody can hear us. So there's got to be a line. And that's something that definitely, like I said, like over in Nonstop, we navigate this. We have a lot of clients who have very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not controversial, but just like sensitive types of topics. I mean, like you guys know Nicole's mom, right? She does all the things with Tantra. Like she is not able to just go and talk about sex on there and freely talk about all of the strategies and the things in her Facebook group. That's not going to work. Okay. So there's got to be a fine line there. And so she finds other ways to be able to market. And that's something that we're helping her with in the World to World programs, is how we're able to expand that. Yeah, Jenna, it used to just be for people with college emails. Same. Because I remember being in college and I transferred. Okay. I transferred colleges, and the one college that I was in, they had it, and when I transferred, the other college didn't have it, but it came out that year, and I used my old college email address to get it because I was so mad. And then I ended up with two accounts because then it got like all messed up, and then I got my new college had it, and it was this whole thing, right? Yeah, it didn't start out as free for all people in all of the world. It was actually like a space for college connections. So I want you guys to know that, like, yeah, I mean, as we're sharing our long posts, we want to share our energy. We want to share our truth. We want to be vulnerable, but we don't own the platform. And so you can go and create an email list, which that's a topic for another day, but go create an email list and you can talk about whatever you want, as much as you want, all over, right? And nothing's going to happen. But when you're on social media, you do got to follow the rules and regulations that they have put forth for us, because we don't own it. And remembering that the concept of shadow banned, I hear that word a lot. Like, I just want to address that for a minute. Like, yes and no. Okay. There's a lot of controversy around that. But what I do know, I do know this for 100%, right? If you keep saying I am shadow banned, I get shadow banned when I tell my truth. There's something about the mindset that you have just put in for yourself. Okay. You have just talked yourself into that. And so I just want to bring awareness to every single time we say phrases. Our words are spells. Every time we say it, it's coming true. So unless we want to call in more of the same, we get to shift our language patterns. We get to change the way that we word this. This also goes for writing a long post. That is something like, I write long posts, but nobody reads my posts. Nobody wants to read them. Like, I don't get any traction. Nobody's liking them. Nobody's engaging on them. The more that you say that shit, the more that it happens. So what do I recommend instead? Well, I mean, number one, you got to be a real person. You got to tell real stories, be really connective. You got to want people to talk to you. You got to want to be seen. Okay. You got to want to be seen. If you don't want to be seen, you are right. Nobody's going to read that post. And so if you're putting out a post and you know that it could ruffle some feathers and you're feeling a little like, I don't know, it might ruffle some feathers and you're a little nervous. You don't want your mom or your dad or your cousin or your brother or your, second removed sister, whatever, right? You don't want them to read it. You're not going to feel great putting that content out. Okay. You are going to block all visibility because you're putting yourself in that space. All right. And so it's giving yourself the opportunity to be real, but to also put the pieces that you need in place to feel good about the realism that you're bringing. Because when you do that, it's going to change the way that you think and feel the second that you hit that post button. Okay. So when you're writing a long post, remember, you want to share a real story. You want to share the real truth about you. You want to be vulnerable. You want to really connect with people in that space. And ultimately, you're setting yourself up for success to have much more connection, much more opportunity. And we are giving ourselves the opportunity to help other people in the process. Now, to boost your visibility, right? Let's say, you're putting out content and you're like, well, I don't know if it's really working. Not that many people are seeing it. It does feel like it's crickets. It does feel like nobody reads it. It does feel like nobody's engaging on it. It's very important to bring about a concept of what else are you doing? right? Because if we're just putting out long posts all day, every day, and we don't have a tangible content strategy in place that helps us really elevate and attract our clients and to integrate and hack that algorithm in a way that allows us to be set up for success for visibility, engagement, and conversion, you're not going to close clients. And so that is why Nicole created Content That Crushes. And, I want to tell you guys real quick, like a little bit of a, just a thought, just a thought. I'm here because of Content That Crushes. I'm here because Nicole did Content That Crushes. And then I bought Nonstop because Nicole did a workshop on Content That Crushes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I finally know what to post. I felt that feeling where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm posting. I want to post. I want to make impact. I want to connect with people. I know I can help people. I have 3 kids to feed. I need to homeschool them. Like, I have all these things I got to do. Like, I've got to make money online, but I didn't know what to post until I watched her workshop. I watched her workshop on Content That Crushes, and it changed everything for me. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I know what to do. I have the map. I have the roadmap. I'm going to do this and then this and then this and then this and this. It was a game changer. Okay. So if you don't have Content That Crushes yet, go check it out. And then I'm going to tell you, of course, I watched Content That Crushes, and then I was like, I need more, right? I need more. I need more. I need more. And so, when I wanted more, I jumped into Nonstop, and Nonstop gives it's like Content That Crushes is like the very foundational ground level of this that helps because I closed clients right away when I started using it. But then I learned how to hack the algorithm from another angle. I learned Nicole's approach to like having a 5D audience, and how when I have a 5D audience, I connect in different ways. And then that impacted again because my reach blew up, right? I got referrals, I had more connections, I had more clients closing. And then in Nonstop, there's like this secret bonus level of Content That Crushes that elevates it even more and even higher. And then I went through that level and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, right? And so I mean that's how I went down that path, right? And it doesn't start out, I mean, yeah, I just closed out a year of $500,000 in sales, but it didn't start there, right? It didn't start there. It started with a $3,000 client, and then another one, and then it was a beta launch, and then it was a $1,500 client, and then it was like 4 $1,500 clients back to back, and then a $3,000 client, my first 10K month, right? It's like it built on itself as I went. And so just know that there are layers upon layers, but no matter where you are in the layers of this, it can work for you. Because when I started doing Content That Crushes, that is when I closed my first client. And that is exactly how I got here to be able to meet Nicole, because she used Content That Crushes. So if you don't have this yet, go check it out. I do gotta hop off because I'm gonna run over to Money Making Unicorns, and we're gonna talk about the anatomy of a long post. We're gonna talk about those different pieces of it and how it becomes money making, right? Like what we actually need to plug in there. It's like doing a recipe, right? We gotta pour a little of this, a little bit of this, dash of that, right? Into our long post to create money. And yeah, it gets to be fun. It gets to be fun. It gets to be fun. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions about Content That Crushes, you can post them here in the comments. I'll circle back to them later. And guys, if you don't have Content That Crushes yet, drop a unicorn. Okay, drop a unicorn in the chat. I want to see those unicorns coming in because you are going to want to get your hands on this strategy. It's a game changer. Long post is just one part, one very small part. Obviously a very important one from what we talked about today, but it's just one small part. So let yourself expand and become the person that attracts clients with ease each and every single day. So gotta hop, guys. See you over at Money Making Unicorns. Bye.